Hello, my dear students. In this lecture, we are going to understand stresses and deflection in helical spring because of the loading. So, my dear students, to understand this, let us draw helical spring. Now, my dear students, let us say there will be an axis of helical spring like this. Here, this line is axis of helical spring, and on this axis, let us say I am drawing the helical spring, right? Now, helical spring of diameter d, wire diameter d, right? Here, the wire diameter is d. The spring I will represent like this. You can see here. Now, let us say here we are going to draw helical spring, which may be in tension or which may be in compression also, right? This spring can be in tension as well as this spring can be in compression also, right? And here my assumption is that the diameter of this wire is small d and mean coil diameter is capital D. Mean coil diameter will be capital D, right? Let us say here the spring is shown like this. Now for this helical spring, right? Let us say this is the spring. Let us draw with me. Now here this is the axis, right? This is our helical spring. Now my dear students, in this helical spring, this wire, it is made with the help of wire. The wire is turned. There are number of turns, and here we are assuming there are small d is diameter of wire. Diameter of wire means here this wire will be having some diameter d. Whatever may be the diameter of this wire is small d, right? And there will be a mean coil diameter which is capital D. Let us say mean coil diameter, which is nothing but here I will represent. In previous lecture, we have seen these all terminologies. Mean coil diameter, right? Means from this location, from mean. Here, this line is a mean line, right? Mean line to this axis. This distance will be d by 2, mean coil diameter by 2. And here, this capital D is nothing but mean coil diameter, right? And let us say there are total n number of active turns. N is number of active turns. The number of active turns means the here this is a one turn, second turn means the spring is wound. There are n number of turns, right? Now the active turns means after loading the turns which participate in deformation. These many number of turns will undergo deformation because of loading. And let us say here I am assuming that this spring is loaded under tension. Let us say along axis the tensile force P is applied. Along axis on this spring the tensile force is applied. Therefore we can say P is a force applied, right? Now my dear students, for this spring, though the force is applied in tension, but in a wire, means in this cross section of wire, we can say, let us say here I am measuring cross section of wire, right? In this cross section, there will be a torsional shear stress. So let us understand how this torsional shear stress will generate. Now my dear students, what you do, unwound the spring. If I unwound or unbend the spring, then I will get some length of this wire, right? Let us say if I unwound or unbend, then I will get some length of wire like this. This is a wire of diameter d, right? Here, this is the axis of wire. Here, this my assumption is axis of wire, right? Now, my dear students, this is a wire. Here, this is a wire, right? Means this is a wire. In spring is made from the wire, and wires are bent and wound. Wires are bent or wound, right? Now, if I unwound or unbend this wire, then I will get total length. Now, for one turn means circular, the total length will be pi d. For one turn, length is pi d, and as there are total n number of active turns, therefore total length will be pi d n, right? This will be the length of unwound helical spring or bar. Here it is a bar, unwound bar, right? And here, my dear students, for this bar, can I say there is an eccentric force at a distance of d by 2. Therefore, if I draw here one circle, let us say this is a unwound wire. Now, for this unwound wire, at some distance, at some eccentricity, there is a force P like this, and this eccentricity, my dear students, this eccentricity is d by 2. We have seen this eccentricity is d by 2, right? Means on both side here, on this side also, on this side also, at some eccentricity there will be a force p, and this eccentricity will be d by 2. It is mean coil diameter divided by 2, right? And here, as this is a wire, this wire will be having diameter small d, diameter of wire. This is a diameter of wire, right? Now can you imagine here, after unbending, this wire is subjected to torque, as this force p is eccentric at some radius. Therefore, because of this force, there will be a torque. And my dear students, can I say this torque will be equal to force into radius, that is d by 2, p into d by 2. This much torque is subjected, and as well as force p is acting as a direct shear force, right? This p is acting as a torque. Torsional shear stress will be generated because of torque, as well as this p is acting as a direct shear force. Therefore, direct shear force p is direct shear force also. Direct shear force also means there is a torque as well as direct shear force. Therefore, there will be a torsional shear stress as well as direct shear stresses. So, our target is to find these stresses, right? So, let us find these stresses. First is we will find torsional shear stresses. So, first, torsional shear stress. Because of torque, there will be a torsional shear stress, which is nothing but I will represent by tau 1. Now for torsional shear stress, we have torsional equation from the strength of material, that is P by J is equal to tau by R, right? Is equal to G theta by L. This is a torsional equation. This equation is again required later for finding deflection, right? Now my dear students, this is a torsional equation. Now here in this equation, I will equate first with second equation. P by J is equal to tau by R. Therefore, what we can say? P by J is equal to tau by R, which is nothing but torsional shear stress tau 1. Here this is a tau 1 because torsional shear stress tau 1 is equal to P by J into R. Now this torsional shear stress will be in the wire or rod of diameter D. Therefore, for this rod, the J and R values will be, for this rod, J will be pi by 32 d power 4. Right, it is pi by 32 d power 4. And radius will be d by 2. Therefore, let us put, therefore torsional shear stress is equal to, let us put all values. Torque is P into d by 2. Therefore, let us put this value. Torque is PD by 2. Here capital D. Radius is small d by 2. And J is pi by 32 small d power 4. Now here school level mathematics, if I simplify for tau 1, then the simplified version I will find 8P capital D divided by pi d cube. This will be the torsional shear stress number 1, right? As well as along with this torsional shear stress, because of the direct shear force, there will be a direct shear stress. Therefore, second is direct shear stress. Direct shear stress tau 2, which will be represented by tau 2. Therefore, this direct shear stress will be direct shear force divided by area, which is equal to P divided by area is pi by 4 d square, which is nothing but 4P divided by pi d square. This will be the direct shear stress. Now, my dear students, can I here simplify this direct shear stress? Tau 2 is equal to, try to write down this direct shear stress in terms of 8PD divided by pi d cube. Therefore, if I write like this, let us say 4P divided by pi d square. If I multiply here with d and divide with d, no problem. Again, if I multiply with 2 and divide with 2, again no problem. And if I multiply with small d and divide with small d, again there is no, absolutely fine, there is no problem, right? Therefore, let us simplify this. Now here I am going to simplify this, right? Now my dear students, let us solve for this. Let us solve for tau 2 here. Therefore, this tau 2 I will get here, this 4 into 2 is 8, right? And this d, right, this d and this small d, therefore it will be 8PD divided by here pi d cube, right? Now see here, 8PD divided by pi d cube, I have considered this d into d square is d cube. Therefore, the remaining is nothing but, in numerator small d is remaining, in denominator 2 capital D is remaining. So let us write down here. Therefore here D divided by 2D. Right. This is how we can simplify for tau 2. Let us say this is the second equation. Again, the second equation can be written as tau 2 is equal to 8PD divided by pi d cube into 0.5D divided by capital D. This is the second equation. Now, my dear students, the same element is subjected to torsional shear stress as well as direct shear stress. Therefore, we can say it is subjected to resultant shear stress. We can say it is subjected to resultant shear stress, which is of magnitude equal to tau. And let us find this resultant shear stress. This resultant shear stress will be the summation of torsional shear stress and direct shear stress. Hence, if I simplify this resultant shear stress will be equal to 8PD divided by pi d cube plus 8PD divided by pi d cube into 0.5D divided by D. Now let us consider 8PD divided by pi d cube common. Therefore, this resultant shear stress is equal to 8PD divided by pi d cube. Therefore, in bracket there will be 1 plus 0.5D divided by D. And we know that the spring index, which is nothing but mean coil diameter divided by wire diameter. Therefore, small d divided by capital D we can say is equal to 1 upon spring index. So let us put here for 1 upon spring index. So my dear students, the resultant shear stress we are getting is the resultant of torsional shear stress and direct shear stress is we are getting this tau is equal to 8PD divided by pi small d cube into 1 plus 0.5 divided by C. Right. My dear students, this term, that is 1 plus 0.5 divided by C, is called shear stress correction factor. Is called shear stress correction factor. Therefore, this tau can be written as Ks 8PD divided by pi d cube. And where Ks is nothing but shear stress correction factor. Ks is equal to shear stress correction factor. Correction factor. And this shear stress correction factor Ks is nothing but 1 plus 0.5 divided by C. Right. But my dear students, here along with direct shear stress and torsional shear stress, there may be a stress concentration also because of the curvature. As the spring is wound, because of these curvatures, there may be a stress concentration factor also. Therefore, if I consider stress concentration also, therefore here I will write by considering stress concentration also, stress concentration factor also, by considering stress concentration factor also, AM Wall derived the equation for resultant stress. By considering these as well as the effect of direct and torsional stress, the scientist AM Wall, AM Wall, AMWAHL, this is the spelling, derived, this scientist derived the equation for resultant stress. The equation for resultant stress, we can say resultant stress. Therefore, my dear students, if question is asked which factors the AM wall has considered, then your answer is AM wall has considered the effect of shear stress, torsional shear stress, as well as direct shear stress, as well as he has considered the effect of stress concentration due to the curvature effect. And as per this AM wall, there will be a wall correction factor, that is stress factor or wall factor. There will be a wall factor instead of shear stress correction factor, and this wall factor is given by K. Right. Therefore, as per this formula, shear stress is equal to K into 8PD divided by pi d cube, where this K is called wall factor or stress factor. It is also called stress factor, or generally it is called WAHL, wall factor. Very, very important. And generally the questions will be on this formula only. That is shear stress is equal to K 8PD divided by pi d cube, and K is wall factor or stress factor. And here the wall has considered the effect of direct shear stress, torsional shear stress, as well as the stress concentration factor is also considered here. And this K, which is nothing but wall factor, is given as 4C minus 1 divided by 4C minus 4 plus 0.1615 divided by C. Right. where, my dear students, in this equation C is spring index. C is spring index, which is nothing but ratio of mean coil diameter to the wire diameter. Right? This is called C. Therefore, this is very important formula. That is, shear stress in the spring wire will be K times 8 PD divided by pi d cube, where K is Wahl's factor given by this formula. P is the force applied on the spring. D is the mean coil diameter, and small d is the wire diameter. Now let us find deflection in the spring. Now just few minutes back we have seen this diagram. Now my dear students, let us solve for deflection. Now here, as there is a torque, there will be a torsional deflection, right? As on this wire, diameter of wire, there is a torque applied, torque of magnitude PD divided by 2. Then there will be angular deflection, that is torsional deflection theta in radian, right? So we will find this first torsional deflection, right, or angular deflection. Now the length of rod is pi dn, right? That already we have seen here, length of rod is written, right? So my dear students, the torsional equation again, T by J is equal to tau by R is equal to G theta by L. Now here what I will do, I will equate first equation with last equation. So let us equate them. Therefore from this equation I will get theta is equal to TL upon Gj. So let us put the values here. Therefore theta is equal to torque is PD divided by 2, length is pi dn divided by G, J is pi by 32 small d power 4, right? And if I simplify this, then I will get this angular deflection theta is equal to 16 p d square n divided by G d power 4. This should be the angular deflection theta. Now let us find linear deflection delta. My dear students, here I am not focusing on the simplification. This simplification is school level. And if you are feeling problems in the simplification of this equation, then it is very much a big problem for the gate preparation. So you have to be a perfect in this type of calculations. Here d is multiplied with d will become d square, n is there, pi will get cancelled. Here 2 will get cancelled with 32 and 32 will become 16 and will go up. Such type of calculations you have to do. Right, here I am not here to teach such calculations. Now here we are understanding the concepts. Now here this is a angular deflection. So let us understand the linear deflection. Because of this tensile force, there will be a linear deflection delta in the spring. So let us understand this linear deflection. Now my dear students, as this theta is an angular deflection in the spring, therefore in the spring there will be a linear deflection also. The spring will come downward like this. This straight line will become this like this curved. That means the spring will come by delta amount in downward direction. So let us understand this linear deflection, right? Let us say this is the axis of spring, right? Here I am going to draw the spring. Let us say the spring is like this. Let us say this is a spring. Here we are drawing the spring diagram. I will draw only few coils, 1 or 2 coils. Let us say this is a spring, right? And for this spring, this is the axis, and this will be the line where force P is applied on this line, axis, on axis. Force P is applied on axis, and the force P is at a distance capital D by 2. Capital D by 2. This distance is capital D by 2, right? My dear students, can I say because of this force P, the spring will get deflected in downward direction, and the deflection will be like this. The deflection will be like this, and this is the angular deflection theta. Here we can say this is the angular deflection theta, and here this deflection is nothing but delta, right? And my dear students, for any triangle, it is a property that, let us say for circle, it is a property that, let us say it is a circle from this point, from O, here it is a radius R and radius R. Between these two radius, the angle theta is nothing but here opposite side, let us say this is a S, linear displacement S. Now for this angular displacement theta, what will be the linear displacement? So it is a property of circle that S is equal to R theta. Similarly, here can I say this linear displacement delta is equal to R times R is d by 2 times theta. Therefore, this linear displacement delta will be equal to R is nothing but d by 2 into theta. This is how we can find linear displacement. So my dear students, let us put the value of here theta. We have already calculated the value of theta, and from this value let us put the value of theta. Therefore this linear displacement delta is equal to here capital D by 2 into theta is 16p d square into n divided by G d power 4. And again, if I simplify for this delta, then this linear displacement delta will be equal to 8 pd. 2 will get cancelled here. There will be 8 pd cube, because 1 d will multiply with d square into n divided by g d to the power 4. This will be the linear displacement formula, which is very important. From this formula, can you say the linear displacement is directly proportional to force? Here force power is 1. Therefore, it is directly, linear displacement is directly proportional to force power 1, or force is directly proportional to displacement power 1. Means between force and displacement there is a linear variation. Right. Now this linear variation is connected with the help of spring constant. That is, the spring constant is called spring stiffness. So let us understand here spring stiffness, and also we have to find spring stiffness here, right? So my dear students, the spring stiffness, which is nothing but ratio of force to the deflection, spring stiffness, K is a spring stiffness or spring constant, right? Now this K is equal to force divided by deformation, which is nothing but, here if I consider this delta towards force, then the answer for this I will get g small d power 4 divided by 8 capital D cube n. This will be the spring stiffness. This is a spring stiffness, right? So my dear students, here spring stiffness is directly proportional to wire diameter power 4, as well as this spring stiffness is inversely proportional to coil diameter, mean coil diameter cube, and this spring stiffness is inversely proportional to number of active coils. These are the variations, right? But my dear students, here this spring stiffness is always constant, that is P by delta, that is g d power 4 divided by 8 d cube n. For particular spring it is a constant, right? Therefore if I draw graph of force versus deformation, right? Now as here we can say force is equal to k times delta, as here we can say force is equal to k times delta, means force is directly proportional to deformation power 1. Therefore it will be a linear graph. That means whenever force is 0, deformation will be 0, and from 0 the graph will start from the 0, and it will be a straight inclined line. It will be the straight inclined line, right? Means the slope is constant, that is k is equal to force divided by deformation, or change in force divided by change in deformation. This is always constant, right? And my dear students, area under this P delta curve is nothing but strain energy, that already you have studied in strength of material. What you have studied in strength of material? The area under force deformation diagram is nothing but strain energy. Therefore here if I draw this force versus deformation diagram, force versus linear deformation diagram delta, then for this diagram, area under the diagram is nothing but strain energy U. Therefore this strain energy U is nothing but 1 half P delta, because it is a triangle, area is triangle. So let us put the values. U is equal to 1 half P. Delta is nothing but, now just now we have derived the formula for delta, which was 8 P capital D cube n divided by g d power 4. Therefore this strain energy will be equal to, if I simplify this, 4 P square D cube n divided by g d power 4. This will be the strain energy over here. So my dear students, here important points are that for this spring, let us say there is a spring. For this spring, if I apply force P, the spring will deform by delta amount, and spring will be having some stiffness, spring stiffness K, right? For this spring, because of this force, the torsional shear stress or shear stress in the spring will be equal to K times 8 PD divided by pi d cube, right? Where K is Wahl's factor, which is given by, K is equal to Wahl's factor is given by 4C minus 1 divided by 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 divided by C, right? My dear students, here don't get confused. This K is Wahl factor or stress factor. But here this K is stiffness of spring, stiffness of spring. These are the different terms, right? That you have to remember. Don't get confused. Where here C is nothing but mean coil diameter divided by wire diameter. C is nothing but spring index, which is mean coil diameter divided by wire diameter. Again, P is a applied load on the spring, D is a mean coil diameter, and D is a small d is a wire diameter, right? And as well as the deformation, this delta will be 8 P D cube n divided by G D power 4, right? This will be the deformation, where n is number of active turns. number of active turns of the coil, right? And spring stiffness, here spring stiffness I am saying, this K, which is nothing but spring stiffness, is nothing but force divided by deformation, is equal to G d power 4 divided by 8 d cube N. This is how the parameters are calculated. Thank you, dear students. In next lecture, we will see series and parallel connection of springs.